DigitalKnowledgeBox.com.
Welcome back for this exciting second episode of How to Create Passive Income Online. On this episode, we're going to discuss some practical steps for creating your first website. And before we get going there, I wanted to thank all the new subscribers out there for joining. And if you're listening to this podcast and you have not yet subscribed, go on over to DigitalKnowledgeBox.com. Again, that's DigitalKnowledgeBox.com. And you'll see the subscribe to podcast button. And, you just click on that link and it'll give you a variety of options to subscribe to this podcast. Most people are familiar with iTunes, and there's a nice easy button for subscribing to iTunes through there. So if you're listening to this podcast for the first time, go ahead and subscribe. It's free. It's not going to hurt you. It's just going to help. So take a few moments to swing on by and subscribe. Okay, so I don't want to leave you hanging here. Let's dive right into all the important information for today. So let's start out with what is a website. For our purposes here, a website is a virtual storefront. It's our business mainframe. That's what everybody comes to check out your business. Business is such a serious word. I mean, the beauty of the internet is that you can create a business out of nearly anything, whatever your interest is. So it can be a hobby. I mean, that's really a preferred way to do this, to get started with a hobby, something you enjoy. And that way you'll enjoy building this whole process up with something that's fun, to get started. The great thing about it is that the lights are always on. It's always open 24/7. Anybody in the world can swing on by and check out what you have to present to them with modern technology. I mean, you can really present yourself as personally as you want, or just as non-personally. I mean, it can be something that's very text-based and image-based that just portrays an idea of your business concept. So time is a variable that we can work with on a website. I mean, that's the cool thing, is you set all these things in place and you pretty much have your shelves completely clean at all times, and you can continually tweak all these pages and everything. But really, at this point, I'm just trying to help you get your gears in motion, get the thing up and running so that you can start to apply all the advanced techniques that we'll get into with, well, I don't even want to go there right now because it's just going to overwhelm you if you're just at this beginning point. But for you advanced people out there, stick with me. I'm going to get there and provide valuable information in the future. But yeah, so today we're just looking at the concept of a website. Very simple. You have pages, you have a home page, and we've all been to websites. I mean, in 2010, where we are now, there's nothing that is really going to make people's jaw drop from a basic website. So what computer skills are necessary to start a website? Again, in the present day, you really don't need to have any computer skills beyond just understanding how to drag and drop. So if you understand how to use your computer, open up an application, how to move things around, most applications are made to work a certain way so that we get comfortable with interacting with the computer with our mouse and keyboard. So back in the day, in the 80s and 90s, you had to go into the terminal of your computer and you had to type out all these shell commands, and that was how you interacted with the computer. But today, we're also used to our handheld devices and everything, that the interaction with the computer is somewhat standardized in the sense that you totally understand the concept of moving a mouse around, going in and out of different windows, plain and simple. But really, that didn't always exist. So my point in saying all that is that when it comes time to building a website, you don't have to do any coding, zero. It makes it so simple that nearly anybody who can figure out how to use Facebook can build a website. All right, so now that you understand that you have the ability to build a website, let's talk about the investment, right? Is this going to be something that's going to drain your bank account? Well, not unless you have less than, say, $100 in your bank account. I mean, I could even go as far as to say with $50 in your bank account, you can open a website and host it and run it for a year, maybe even 2 years. The overhead in running an online business is minimal, and that is another reason that everybody needs to be doing this, because for a very small investment, you can get your website up and running. You can have people coming by and visiting 24/7. And ultimately, when we start to really talk about developing your product and your personality or your e-commerce or any sort of way of pulling in funding, the minimal cost that it takes to put a website up, rent the name, rent the space, is going to pay for itself in no time at all. The next little topic that I wanted to introduce is the different types of websites. I mean, we have things as basic as a standalone product. You might have a complete e-commerce store. You might just be running general articles that are pulling in funds from advertising. You might just have a personal blog or any other sort of website or system. So really what it comes down to is determining what your product should be. Determining what your product should be is a very fun activity. It's creative. You get to dig within yourself. No matter what your life experience, where you've been, you have lived and you've done something. So what you have to do is you have to evaluate. You have to brainstorm who you are. So a practical thing that you can do is sit down with a blank piece of paper, write down all the things that come to mind. You know, this is only going to take 10, 15 minutes. Write down all the things that come to mind that define who you are as a person. Are you a musician? Are you a writer? Are you a visual artist? Are you a computer genius or just a computer novice that's working towards genius? Are you way into concerts? Do you love to see movies? Are you planning a wedding? Have you just gone through some tragedy? Are you over the age of 40? Are you under the age of 20? All of these things have some sort of effect on who you are, and they can be turned into a website. So let's take one of those examples. So let's say you're in the middle of planning your wedding. So for anyone who's gone through that, no matter how simple you try to make it, it's an intense process. And so you're going to have to do a bunch of coordinating. You're going to meet all these new people. And on the flip side, if you're trying to have a big elaborate wedding, then you definitely know the importance of a wedding planner and all that goes into planning that event. So maybe through your whole wedding experience, you learned the value of really bargain shopping for certain aspects of the wedding. That is a strength right there. You've now got your market and you can build a product from that. This is just a quick example of how you can do this brainstorming process to build a product. So for this example, our market is people who are getting ready to have their wedding. The service that you're offering them is how to bargain shop for your wedding, right? So you do things like you tell people, you make an ebook where you tell people, oh, you know, the last thing you want to do when you go into the caterer is tell them, hey, we're having a wedding or whatever. You don't want to use the word wedding, right? So what you do is you just go in there and you tell them, hi, I'm having a big event. What would it cost for me to have XYZ plates of food? And then you get a quote, and from that quote you have a number to pull from. So as you can see, you could quickly take that experience and organize it into a series of steps and suggestions and tips and create an ebook, right? So then you have a simple product. All right, so now you've got your product after brainstorming. Okay, so after this brainstorming process, you're gonna have a whole bunch of new ideas, different directions you can take things. We're gonna dig deeper into this topic of finding niche markets and determining which direction to go in future episodes. But for today, I just kind of wanted to get the thought process going there and how you can sort of generate some ideas and begin to realize your strengths and where you can develop a product to start your internet business. All right, so now let's look at the practical steps that it takes to create a website. First of all, you need to get a domain name. And the domain name is pretty much the name that people will search online. So for example, mine is digitalknowledgebox.com. There's a whole marketing strategy behind finding a really good domain name. But for now, just go ahead and choose what is on your mind, because really, in the long run, we can change the domain name and you can work different things that we'll discuss later on in this podcast. You have to rent a domain name, and then you have to provide hosting. You have to get a hosting package for that domain name. So I'm going to tell you about the company that I use to rent my domain name and provide hosting for my websites. Okay, so this is a great company called Globat, and the reason I like them are for several reasons. First of all, if you remember me discussing earlier in this episode, the ease of website creation. They have an application, a drag and drop website builder that is built into the mainframe of the hosting package. So once you sign up with them and you get into their hosting, you'll see it's very simple, big button, build your website, drag and drop builder right here. And in fact, I'm going to provide a link where you can see that website builder in action and see how simple it is to use, rather than just telling you about it in greater detail here. But secondly, you can rent your domain through Globat as well. So everything will be all right there, all in one, and it's very simple to work with. Additionally, they have a fantastic customer support system. So 24/7, if you have any problems, you just get on there. You can hit up their technical support team or sales support or whomever, whatever kind of support you need. And there's somebody there within 5 minutes or less to help you with whatever problem you're having. So for those reasons, I've really enjoyed working with Globat. And you can find a preview video of the drag and drop website builder, as well as all the links to Globat at www.digitalknowledgebox.com/hosting. So again, go to digitalknowledgebox.com/hosting. And there you're going to be able to find all the information that I just told you about, plus a few bonus videos that really shows you how easy it is to build a website through their service. All right, so for this episode, what are the practical steps that we need to take? All right, first of all, you need to brainstorm your skill sets, devise a plan, and start thinking about the products you're going to build online. Then browse over to digitalknowledgebox.com/hosting. Check out the preview to see how easy it is to build a website through the hosting that's provided there. And then when you're ready, click through, get yourself a hosting package, and rent a domain name for your website. So I'll see you next time on the How to Create Passive Income podcast for an episode all about finding your niche market.
digitalknowledgebox.com